heard that you were good friends with The Undertaker backstage.
I'm still good friends with The Undertaker. Me and him broke in Memphis together. That's where we met. Probably in 89, 88. And we're still good friends today, man.
What's he like outside of the ring?
He's Mark. I mean, he's a good dude, man. I tell you what, and I've known him. We were a tag. People don't know this. We were a tag team in '89, I think, in Memphis called Death Express. I was the Soul Taker, and he was Master of Pains. And after this interview, if you want, I'll show you a picture of me and him. But at that time, hard worker. From day one, he wanted to be somebody special. Took it serious. Has nothing but respect for the business. I was more having fun in the business than he was. Just a serious dude that gives back to the business, and probably one of the best people that could be in this business. And for somebody that has been so successful as him, man, he's a great guy, and it couldn't have happened to a better person, because he's the real deal, man. He's a good person. Really, really good dude. And people always ask me, they'll say, was there heat between you guys in the clique, and was there power struggles, and The Undertaker and Yokozuna and Shawn and Hunter? And I'm like, no, dude, they were just groups of people they were cliques. The clique were guys that hung out during the day and hung out at night, and BSK, which was me, Undertaker, Yokozuna, Rikishi, the Godwins, and Savio Vega. And we were guys that hung out together, and that was nothing more than that. The BSK stands for Bone Street Crew. Not Back Street Killers, not Bone Thug Killers, whatever people say. It's Bone Street Crew. We all have tattoos that say BSK on them. I think Taker's, most people are familiar with Taker's, is here or somewhere where it says BSK on them. Okay? But all it was Bone Street Crew means we were a group of guys that at TV, and anytime that we had extra time, we played dominoes. Dominoes are called bones. So Yoko would be like, hey, let's get BSK together. Bone Street Crew, let's play for some bones. And that's where that name came from, Mythbusters.
So there was no heat between you guys?
No, none whatsoever. I wasn't as good of friends with those guys as I was BSK, but I was very good friends with them. Yeah. Very good. And to this day, I talk to every one of them. I don't see Hunter too often, but Kevin, Shawn, Razor, Billy Gunn, all them guys, man. I see them all the time. I'm cool with every one of them.
What was it like wrestling The Undertaker?
He has his own style and his own pace. His pace is a little slower because of the dead man routine. And I think he knows how to do it. And it takes a longer match to get to people. Where if you work at a little quicker pace, that whole the dead man and he takes, everything's methodical. He takes the choke slam and he puts it over, and then, you know what I'm saying? So, for me, I think things happen a little quicker than that, to build the spot, to build that one where you get that big pop, and then you take it from there. So, he knows what he's doing, though. I'm not saying that that's not my style.
And you got along with him outside the ring, no problem?
Oh yeah, very much so. He's a great guy. But I think, what can you say? He's Undertaker.
Speaking of Undertaker, you mentioned him a couple of times. Everyone loves the Undertaker here, right?
Yeah! Undertaker, Mark's always been a great friend, because it was me, Sag, and Mark that actually went to the WWE together. And he's still there and we're not, and he's living in a big house and I'm not no more. So, we're in WCW together, and me and Sag and him both all broke in November of 1990, and then we went for the belts. That was in WrestleMania 7, and then they built Taker up from there, from the Survivor Series in '90, but it was us three that broke in together, you know what I mean? So from WCW to going to WWF. So, and Mark's always been a great gentleman and a nice guy,
What would we know about The Undertaker that you may have seen aside of him?
You know what? He's real quiet. He's a quiet guy, not loudmouth. He's just real quiet. Does his own thing, and kind of just hangs out and you know, he's nice to everybody, but he's just, you know, he's been doing it a long time. I mean, you got to give it. When we started in '90, so damn, what is it? They're on WrestleMania 7. He started. So
He's actually wrestling on this Saudi Arabia show coming
Yeah.
up too, so he's still in there.
The Undertaker is one of my all-time favorite. He is probably the most unique, gimmick. I would say ever in pro wrestling. So unique. I remember the first time I saw him when he first came out. I guess I'm going on 20 years now for WWE, and I was mesmerized by him. And I said, "This thing is unbelievable. This is a fantastic gimmick." And his Undertaker thing, and I just found it fascinating. And also, he's always been very nice to me, always very nice. And I've had great conversations with him and visiting with him during TV tapings and everything. And so I just give the Undertaker high marks, and I'm really proud to have him as not a close friend, because we haven't really done that much together, but visit and hang out together at tapings and everything. But he's always been a gentleman to me and a professional, and probably has the greatest gimmick ever in professional wrestling, without a doubt, hands down. No question about it.
When Sid got hurt, the future Undertaker, Mark Callis, was his replacement. What were your thoughts when they brought him in, and your impressions of him as a person and wrestler?
Well, at first, you know, Mark came in. He hasn't been around for very long, and you know, I hadn't Sid when I got teamed with Sid. Sid had just started too, so you know, I could tell that Mark had a lot of talent. You know, it was just that he was green at the time, and got along great with Mark. And I think that Mark turned out to be probably the best big man to work in the business. Had the greatest gimmick. I loved his gimmick, and he knew how to work it.
Do you still talk to him ever? Or?
Yeah, I run into him every once in a while somewhere, and it's always pleasant to see him and have fond memories. And we were both good friends with Brian Adams. We used to play golf, the three of us together. And sometimes Big Show would join us, and we had a lot of fun playing golf with each other, four of us.
Did you ever wrestle the Undertaker as Waylon Mercy?
No.
No. Would you have liked to have had that?
Oh,
in the
yeah.
past? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would have actually functioned. That gimmick was actually tailor-made to face someone like the Undertaker. Actually,
Yeah.
now that I think about it, that's too bad. Undertaker, of course, you also rode with him when he was starting off. I don't know if he was Mark Callis at that point.
He was Master of Pain.
Master of Pain.
Master of Pain came in from Dallas, and I tag teamed with him. I actually lived with him for a while. Great athlete, good guy. But he would tell me stories about Don Jardine, the spoiler. That's where he got walking the ropes. He saw the spoiler walk the ropes. And great athlete. And I'm glad he did really, really well when he went to WWF. Because I was with him in WCW. He was Mean Mark Callis. And he told me one day, he says, I got a chance maybe to go up there. What do you think? I said, well, I'd go. If they offer you the chance to go, go. And right now. If you can get out of your contract here. And I guess he got out of it, so he ended up there. Because I always heard that The Undertaker was an extension of Vince's vision that he saw in himself.
Okay.
So Undertaker, in a lot of ways, was Vince's vision of himself in his own mind.
Right.
That's why I thought that he would never get beat. You know, when you have national sports outlets talking about an unbeaten streak, I don't think it should have ever ended.
Oh, I agree with you.
I'm still pissed off about it.
Yeah.
I think he should have retired undefeated.
And Brock didn't need that win either.
No.
I'll ask you just this on camera because Bill Dundee wanted me to ask you this on camera. You already told me the answer, but you don't know why The Undertaker didn't like Bill Dundee. Bill Dundee thought that The Undertaker didn't like him ever from the time they met.
Well, if that's a personality clash, it may be that, but Undertaker didn't like it. Hey, if Undertaker didn't like you, he just wouldn't even talk to you.
Right, yeah.
I mean, you knew, and just because he didn't talk to Bill, and probably Bill perceived that as he didn't like him. But I don't know really any reason.
The Undertaker is someone that also started in this territory. Any memories of him?
Oh man, I don't know why he didn't like me. I'm the reason. I think he's the reason I never got past the front desk of Vince.
Really? So there was some heat even in the days from USWA, I guess it was called, when he was working up here.
Yeah. I hate getting into this type thing, but all I'm going to say is he married a girl that I knew, and there's no telling what she'd said to him about me, because the heat's all on his end. I have nothing. Mark Callis doesn't like me. I have never did nothing for him not to like me that I know of. When he was in here, I tried to help him, big red-headed guy with freckles. I tried to help him, but I just don't know. And him and Dutch Mantel were big buddies. Maybe Dutch can tell you when you interview Dutch. Say, why doesn't the friggin' Undertaker like Dundee? Because he was little and cute, and he was big and red-headed. But anyway, that's another story.
I'll actually ask about that, and maybe I think the Undertaker's on his third wife now. I'm almost positive, because there was one named, I think, Sarah, that he had tattooed on his neck, and then he had the tattoo removed, and he's married to someone else now. So that may have been his first. So that
I don't know, but the one that we both knew was. But anyway.
You were part of the Undertaker's BSK group. Could you talk about the Undertaker a bit?
I think at one point anybody who was not part of the clique was in BSK. When they first started it, I remember Yokozuna was talking about it, and he actually originally called it the Bone Street Killers, but then I came to find out later they were calling it Bone Street Crew. But I mean, guys even like Owen Hart and other people like that were in this group. At one point, Owen went and had toboggans made with our name on the front and BSK on the back. And I ended up later using that toboggan as part of my gimmick when they gave me the green Duke the Dumpster outfit, which was very short-lived. It kind of disappeared somehow. I can't remember how. But I was using the toboggan for that with the Duke on the front. But, you know, we would, and we would go on these, especially overseas trips, we would all be sitting in the back of the bus talking about this stuff. And everybody would be playing dominoes or doing what we did in the back. But yeah, I think a lot of people that were not part of the clique at that time were honorary members of BSK, in my opinion.
What was the Undertaker like outside of his character?
A very cool individual, very quiet most of the time. You know, he was obviously very well respected and still is. And yeah, he was just a cool individual. Nothing really seemed to rattle him. You know, you would always see other wrestlers angry, bitter, resentful, complaining about their situation. Now, granted, Taker had one of the top positions at that time, of course. But, you know, he would kind of come and go. They would bring him up and down in different issues. But you never heard him complain. Never, ever heard him complain about anything. He didn't get wrapped up in all that stuff. Sometimes wrestlers would, like certain guys would talk about the people in the clique, the guys in the clique that they didn't like, and it was just a lot of complaining and bitterness. You never heard that from Taker.
Would you like to have seen him keep his win streak alive at the WrestleManias throughout the rest of his career? Or do you think it was a good idea that they ended it?
Man, I stopped watching wrestling way before that, and I know about what you're speaking about, but and I remember hearing everybody up in arms about it when Brock Lesnar beat him. They probably should have ran that thing till like a lot longer. I think maybe till the end. Maybe ran it undefeated the whole way. That probably would have been the right thing to do.
there might never be an end as long as they still need him to draw until he dies, because they keep bringing him back.
Yeah.
You say the Undertaker, you noticed that he had changed personality-wise.
Yeah. Back then, I guess you take it personal, you do, especially when they screw you over. You really do. But I guess in that spot, guys, they're got to be paranoid. They got to be their spot, insecure, and they got to stay to themselves and do. But I've heard some stuff. I know he's done some. He's he used to have a smile on his face all the time. But I guess in that spot, in that position, they think everybody's against them. And maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But guys want that spot, and they feel the pressure and everything, and do. I mean, look at the run he's had. I mean, it's amazing, what the guy's done. I mean, you can't, But him and Sean got me out of there. I'll tell you that.
And God bless him. He's had a hell of a run, and then to me, they just effed up there before with the Brock. And the Undertaker, they did that thing with, I didn't understand what was going on. The next minute, half the people were liking Brock, he was the last heel they had. When they brought him back with Heyman, here's this monster beating up everyone. He'd just come from MMA, where he'd been, he had a run there, and, people like to believe it's the real thing. And they brought him in, and now he's in the middle of the, they sort of had him, I don't know what happened there, but they lost the heat on him, Who was there that was real heat today in WWE?
Nobody.
Who was there? I don't know.
And you're most remembered probably for your feud with the Undertaker from that time.
Yeah, I think we had a good feud going on. And we was in Wembley, you probably remember that.
Yeah.
SummerSlam. And he got the big payoff, $500,000. And mine was only $13,000. $13,000. I knew then, but see, the reason I didn't leave is because when I went back, the time when I wrestled Undertaker, Vince had told me that he wanted to take out 15% of my gross earnings until my contract is up. And he'll let me, he said that's what he wanted, because he already had said he wanted me back. So I agreed with him. I signed the contract. And I agreed with him. He said that'll be plus interest. For 2 years I stayed there with Vince. The interest on my growth for all those years, for those 2 years, was $17,000. That was it. That's with interest.
And you were wrestling on a lot of big matches against, like as you said, Undertaker, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man a couple times.
Yeah, Jake the Snake.
How was Jake the Snake?
Oh, Jake was easy to work with until his later years. I worked with him a few times on independent shows, and he would hurt you. Yeah, he would hurt you. So I didn't like working with him on the independent show because he was full of that whatever he be taking. But I had some good matches with him.
Did the Undertaker get along well with you outside the ring? Because I guess you see each other all the time talking about matches.
Yeah, got along real good with him. Undertaker, I would go to him and he would come by me and he would sit down and talk to me. He was quiet. Undertaker was quiet.
Because this is a compilation video about The Undertaker, I thought I would share my personal story about the only personal interaction I had with The Undertaker as a wrestler. I met him as a fan numerous times. I was also used as an extra by WWE, I think about at least 10 times, quite a few times, even though I only actually had 2 physical matches in front of the camera. Most of the time, they just had me sitting around backstage doing nothing or taking moves from one of their stars as a tackling dummy before the show. But on this particular day, it was January of 2005, the Bell Center in Montreal, the site of the Montreal Screwjob. I came into the building. My father, I remember, drove me because I lived in Calgary at the time and I was staying with my parents. And he got me there a good half an hour to 45 minutes before we had to be there. And I remember when I went inside, I noticed walking by I think it was the Zamboni entrance, I could see the Undertaker in the ring stretching out. So what they asked the extras to do, or what they used to back then anyways, was when you arrive at the building, get on your gear, your gym gear, and like hang out by the ring, because you could either be used in a tryout situation, an agent might ask you to have a match, or you might be used for a wrestler to perform a move on, or for an agent to show a wrestler how to do something. But by the ring, you're there, you're easily accessible before the show. So I pretty much went out there as fast as I could, just because The Undertaker was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. My parents would actually tell you that he was my favorite wrestler. So I went out to the ring. He was there. I basically stood around the ring, started stretching out outside the ring, because I didn't want to enter the ring with The Undertaker in there. And I remember he got up, walked towards me, shook my hand. I forgot if he introduced himself to me as The Undertaker or Mark Calloway, but he said hello, introduced himself. Would you mind coming in the ring and running some spots with me? So we got in the ring, and I don't think he was actually wrestling on that show. I think he was interfering in some type of match or something. So for some reason, he wanted some exercise. So like, he started calling spots to me, and things were going really well. It was really cool. He seemed to like working with me. And after some time had gone by, I would say 10 or 15 minutes went by of him wrestling with me. Ricky Steamboat, who was an agent at the time, came in the ring and started working with us, giving us pointers, and then also kind of being somewhat of a referee for the drills that The Undertaker and I were doing. So that was pretty cool. And as we were wrestling in there, the regular roster was coming around the ring. So by the time we actually finished, there was like 30 members of the regular roster, the extra, the production crew, watching me do these spots in the ring with The Undertaker and Ricky Steamboat as the referee. So around, I would say it went over 20 minutes. In my head, in my memory, it was half an hour, but in all likelihood, the total time, it may have been 20 minutes or so. He shook my hand. He said, "Thank you very much. I enjoyed working with you." And I left the ring. And I remember I was in Zubaz pants. I remember that. And I remember I was so disillusioned going into that day, because at that point I'd been to 3 events and I hadn't been used at all. This was actually the 4th WWE event I'd been at as an extra, and I was disappointed that I didn't get looked at in a dark match or was even asked to do an enhancement match on TV. But I got a memory that honestly will last with me forever. It may not have happened in front of the TV cameras, but he was a hero of mine. And to be in the ring with him, and he actually told me he liked working with me. That is like an honor that I will always remember for the rest of my life. And I definitely, if not the highlight of my wrestling career from a personal standpoint, to wrestle one of my favorites, it's right up there with any of my top moments in my wrestling career because it was just awesome.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our full shoot interviews ad-free and help our channel grow. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant updates.